For more information, visit www.ufaa.go.ke/holders. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
Well, defending multilateralism and, of course, defending the global order. World leaders commit to unite the world and, of course, boost economic growth during these years. United Nations General Assembly that just concluded in the city of New York, United States. Good evening and thank you very much for joining us. My name is O'Brien Kimani and we are live from Broadcasting House, and this is the Prime Edition. We have my co-hosts with me here in the name of Cynthia and Nyamai. Good evening, Cynthia.
Good evening. Welcome to Prime Edition. And tonight, these are the highlights for you.
Government does not collect money, stores in one place, keeps for 1 month, and then distributes after 1 month or after 1 year.
The government is not broke. National Treasury CS speaks after speculations. Honoring the promise. Government delivers fast consignment of cheap fertilizer. Taming road accidents. Transport authorities go digital. In business news, you have 23 days to register your SIM card.
Well, let's catch up with one of the stories that we've just highlighted for you. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Watamu now says the government is not broke as it's been claimed by a section of politicians. Speaking on the sidelines of the ongoing senator's induction in Naivasha, Watamu cautioned the political class against misleading Kenyans on sensitive issues.
Thank you very much, sir.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary Watamu now says formulation of laws to cushion Treasury against wiring funds to counties indicted for mismanagement of public resources will be the solution to ending cases of unaccounted usage of funds by counties. Watamu, who spoke to senators in Naivasha, claimed Treasury had no powers to ensure proper usage of revenues by counties, and hence the need for a law for enhancement of discipline on the usage of public resources.
Senate can enact a law that compels the counties or the National Treasury to stop transfer of resources when they see that there is complete abuse.
At the same time, Watamu equally dismissed claims that the government was broke and cautioned the political class against misleading Kenyans.
We argue out of ignorance. Like now, immediately after election, some leaders were saying that, okay, they did not find the coffers were empty, the treasury did not have money, there was only 93 million shillings that was found there. And we find it very, really, I don't know whether to sympathize with the situation, because there's a lot of ignorance about it.
Yatani also told senators that mediations without clear timelines between the two houses of parliament on revenue sharing and conditional grants are the reasons for the delay in the disbursement of monies to counties.
This has been a very difficult area in as far as getting the two houses to agree in what goes to the counties has not been very easy. There are areas where the county and Senate pronounce itself on one against a different position of the National Assembly. So this caused a lot of delay.
Financial year after another, there are constant efforts to increase revenue allocation to counties. Treasury challenging the lawmakers to ensure that there's discipline and interrogate usage of public resources by the devolved units. For Prime Edition from Naivasha, Nakuru County, I'm Gladys Mungai.
Elsewhere, the government plans to extend the fertilizer subsidy program to the long rain season next year, while flagging off 1.4 million bags of fertilizer to various parts of the region. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua said the government is seeking to import more fertilizer to put more acres under crops to boost yields.
Subsidized fertilizer is now available at various National Cereals and Produce Board depots across the country. This follows the flagging off of 1.4 million 50 kg bags of fertilizer to smallholder farmers to put more acres under food crops during the ongoing short rains season. The National Treasury has availed 3.5 billion shillings for the fertilizer subsidy program that is being rolled out in phases. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says the program will be extended during a long rains season next year to boost food production.
That we are all private to all fertilizer requirements for the long rains season 2023. The government has commenced consultations with key actors and stakeholders to ensure quality, affordable and accessible fertilizer that will be available to all farmers across our great nation.
He appealed to farmers in targeted regions to access the subsidized fertilizer capped at 100 bags per farmer.
I appeal to farmers in the regions that are receiving the short rains to reach out to local National Cereals and Produce depots and sub-depots to access the required fertilizer.
Immediate priority intervention will be ensuring fertilizer, quality seeds and other farm inputs are available at an affordable price. Citing erratic rains and high input costs, among others, have led to reduced food production.
As a government, we are focused to increasing agricultural productivity that will lead to increased supply and eventually lower food prices due to the forces of supply and demand.
A 50 kg bag of DAP is expected to retail at 3,500 shillings, CAN at 2,875 shillings, urea at 3,500 shillings, NPK retailing at 3,275 shillings. MOP will be purchased at 1,775 shillings, while sulfate ammonia will retail at 2,220 shillings.
We'll be able to assist those who have not planted with the DAP because that is accepted fertilizer for planting. There are very many who have not planted and they will benefit from this intervention. Again, for those who have already planted and they need to be assisted for top dressing, we'll be making interventions to avail the CAN to be able to help those who have already planted.
On Monday, the Ministry of Agriculture confirmed that 2 ships had docked at the port of Mombasa, bringing in 11,700 metric tons of fertilizer. Another ship carrying 24,509 metric tons of fertilizer is expected to dock at the port of Mombasa in 2 days.
Well, this is part of government's effort to deal with perennial food shortages in the country and as well ensure there is enough food in the country by subsidizing agricultural inputs. Well, tonight we just want to have a look at the cyclical era of drought in Kenya, because in the country right now more than 10 million people are facing serious food shortages because of the ongoing drought that is ravaging more than 23 counties in the country. And now we want to trace the question of drought and Let me now take you through this war. And as you can see, drought is as old as beyond 1975 actually, because this was the first time that the government reported widespread drought that affected 16,000 people. Remember, back then the population of Kenya was less than 15 million. And in 1977, 20,000 people faced starvation due to drought. And in 1980, 40,000 people suffered the effects of drought, while in 1983, over 200,000 people were in dire need of food aid in the country. Fast forward, 1991, Kenya declared drought in northeastern, the Rift Valley, eastern and coastal provinces. Back then, we never used to have counties. And in 1992, 1.5 million people were affected by drought, triggering a major food aid effort by both government as well as development partners. And in 1995, 1.4 million people faced starvation in Kenya due to ravaging drought. In 2000, remember the El Nino and La Nina era? Well, famine affected close to 4.4 million people at that time because of the effects of El Nino and La Nina. In 2004, 3 million people were in dire need of relief aid due to widespread drought. In 2008, 1.4 million people were in dire need as well because of severe drought. In 2010, 10 million people were at risk of hunger due to drought. And last year, that was 2021, government declared drought a national disaster. We remember this very well. That was in September when the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, declared drought a national disaster and directed all government departments to mobilize resources to deal with this crisis. Still, we are still in this cycle, and in 2022, where we are now, 10 million people or 10 million Kenyans in 23 counties are facing drought, and we have seen various resources being committed by the government to try and come to the rescue of these starving Kenyans. Well, of course, we have also seen major efforts by the county government to try and alleviate the suffering of Kenyans because of the ongoing drought. We have also seen interventions like the cash transfer programs being rolled out by the national government to try and ensure that the pangs of drought are lessened in this country. So that is a brief history of the cycle of drought in Kenya. And of course, I'm sure by now you know something or two about why drought is becoming a major issue right now. Is because of the ongoing climate change. And so that's where we are. And remember, in November this year, world leaders will be meeting in Egypt, Sharm el-Sheikh, to discuss the issues around climate change. Cynthia and Nyamai.
You. Now, moving on, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has maintained that there is no standoff between Parliament and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission over the lawmakers' packs. Wetangula, who remained mum about the details of the closed-door meeting held between members of the commission, says a number of concerns were ironed out. CRC Chair Lynn Mengich says issues raised will be discussed through the Parliamentary Service Commission. Menzer has the details.
The fate of legislators' parks over proposed changes by Salaries and Remuneration Commission remains unknown, as a closed-door meeting between the two failed to reach an agreement.
The outcome of such a meeting cannot be pronounced through media briefings, because SRC have told us they are going to write to the House of Parliament.
Speaker of National Assembly Moses Wetangula indicated that the matter is in the hands of the Parliamentary Service Commission.
And indicated the issue they have discussed, where there were misapprehensions of fact, where there were reductions of expectations of members, and where there were overstated issues beyond the expectations of members.
Reduction of lawmakers' parks and scrapping of allowances, such as the 5,000 shillings plenary sitting allowance, angered MPs.
Indeed, we've spent a lot of time explaining the principles, the importance of ensuring that the wage bill is fiscally sustainable. We spend a lot of time engaging on issues of equity and fairness in pay as pertains to state officers and all other state officers.
The standoff remains as SRC is set to engage Parliamentary Service Commission. MPs, however, expressed divergent opinions over the parks.
If you think about the priorities of members of parliament, which I know is a feeling of very many members of parliament here, is that there is a bigger priority than talking about MPs' salaries. And that is why you're seeing we are more committed about talking about the plans that we have for the country.
Our employer is Parliamentary Service Commission. They are the ones who understand our role, what we do. They are the ones who understand the circumstances under which we operate in. They are the ones who should decide which type of allowance we should be paid, and not the SRC. SRC, they are overstepping their mandate.
You do not say that you see at MPs, this is their workplaces and therefore they should be... Where is the workplace for an MP? The MP has to work in the constituency. The MP has to work in Parliament. There are very many places that the MP needs to work. But the MP is a representative of the people. He has a constituency to run. Ideally, you are telling me I should be an MP, stay in my constituency, run the affairs of my constituency, and not legislate. When I legislate for everybody, for every sector. Motivate the MP to do good legislation.
On Thursday, members held another meeting with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, with issues on funding and open link between the two expected to be part of the agenda. Kamche Menza for Prime Edition.
The ever elusive issue of remuneration. We'll be taking our first break right here on the Prime Edition. Stay right here.
Kuanzia mwezi huu tarehe 22 katika runinga uipendayo saa 4 usiku ni sherehe na kandanda. Kosa uchekwe.
Uongo mtupu, uongo, wacha kudanganya watu, uongo.
Security, soja.
Tulieni, ni kweli, ni legit.
Sherehe na kandanda.
All I do is win. I wake up, I win. I close my eyes and I win.
We get a emergency, girlfriend.
Keep up with me, come on, let's go. Keep running till the world stops spinning. Independent, I mean, come on, now let's get it. I'ma keep running till the world stops.
Wow, you look great. Did you just come from the salon?
Darling Abuja, braids that stay salon fresh no matter what.
Kupata skiza tune ya mambo mema, dial star 811 star 815 hash.
Mambo mema huwaendea watu wanaosubiri, ila mambo mema zaidi huwaendea watu wanaoyatafuta. Kupata mambo mema ni kufanikiwa, na kufanikiwa ni kutabasamu, kutafakari na kuhesabu mema na baraka ulizozichukulia hatua, ukazitafuta na kuzipata. Amka, tafuta ufanisi wako.
Kupata skiza tune ya mambo mema, dial star 811 star 815 hash. Star 811 star 815 hash.
Heshima na simama.
We move from glory to glory, from grace to grace. Oh, long live excellence.
Inakisiwa kuwa utandawazi na teknolojia ndiyo chanzo kubwa au chanzo kikuu cha vifo hivi. Je, tutazuiaje teknolojia kumaliza vijana wetu?
Nakumbuka hadi chuo moja alinipiga kaa punda. Huku akidai eti mimi ni kilema. Wasee waliniita danda eti jumi si performer.
Walai nimeogopa mambo ya hawa watu. Anajiita msuba na ana miaka 70.
There's something about your body when they hide me like I don't smoke Colorado.
Kiswahili kitukuzwe, kwani lugha ya taifa.
Welcome back. Well, the acting director of Africa CDC, Dr. Ahmed Ogwell, says the health security situation in Africa and is still fragile as the continent deals with multiple disease outbreaks. He noted that Africa CDC is working closely with Uganda authorities to contain an Ebola outbreak reported in the country. The Minister of Health, in conjunction with the Busia County government, have intensified surveillance at the border town with thorough scrutiny of travelers and truck drivers along the Kenya-Uganda border.
Speaking during the weekly update on disease outbreaks on the continent, the acting director of Africa CDC, Dr. Ahmed Ogwell, called on member states to scale up vaccination efforts to help reduce the disease burden on the continent. He noted that of the 8 deaths reported at the epicenter of the Ebola outbreak in Uganda, only 1 death was confirmed to be Ebola-related. Further adding that 10 suspected cases of Ebola are under investigation, with 43 contacts being monitored to ensure it does not spread.
A total of 10 suspected cases are currently under investigation, and 43 contacts have been listed and are currently being monitored so that we ensure that it does not spread beyond this particular area of Uganda. In a situation like this, you want to be able to include in your planning all the immediate neighboring countries because travel these days is very easy.
The acting director noted that Africa's CDC has sufficient stockpiles of vaccines ready to deploy once the situation calls for such a move. He explained that various strains of Ebola have different hosts, hence allayed the fear that it could have been as a result of consuming bushmeat.
The Sudan strain does not have approved vaccine. So in that way, protecting the community where the outbreak is and protecting our health workers becomes more challenging in the absence of an approved the vaccine.
The Kenya government, in conjunction with Busia County government, have intensified surveillance and embarked on thorough scrutiny of travelers and truck drivers along the Kenya-Uganda border.
Tuko na port health, Busia border na Malaba border. So those staff are already screening travelers hapo kwao in terms of just looking at the signs of anybody who could be having signs of Ebola viral disease. But tunataka kulias na Ministry of Interior ili ya kwamba watu wote waweze kuingia Kenya through the official route, kwa sababu hapo ndio tuko na screening inaendelea.
This even as yet another death, a 1-year-old child suspected to have succumbed from Ebola-like symptoms, was reported by Uganda's health ministry officials. Opicho Chemtai for Prime Edition.
Welcome back. It's now time for business. Now, telcos have deactivated more than 280,000 SIM cards since April after they were flagged over the use of wrong identification details. The Communication Authority says the number is set to increase as the October 15th deadline approaches. Mobile users are now being urged to ensure that they submit their details for formal recognition before the deadline or risk deactivation.
As millions of Kenyans rushed to regularize their registration. Due to this, the Communication Authority extended this deadline to the 15th of next month to give ample time for full registration of all SIM cards in the country. The CA now reports that since the deadline extension, 287,214 SIM cards have been deactivated. The authority says the majority of deactivated cards are as a result of illegal registration and wrong documents. In the first round of registration, 124,689 SIM cards were deactivated in the first quarter of this year. This has pushed down total subscriptions from 64.9 million to the current 64.7 million, according to quarterly statistics by CA. The authority says this translates to a mobile penetration of 130.9%. In the first half of this year, there were 59.7 million mobile devices connected to mobile networks, with feature phones and smartphones accounting for 32.9 million and 26.8 million respectively. The authority reported a total of 92.8 million cyber threat incidences received by the National Kenya Computer Incidents Response Team, with 1.9 million advisories issued on the same. Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
Remember, you have until the 15th of October to regularize your documents with your telecom. Well, let's move on, where Kenya has signed a memorandum of understanding with South Korea on development of a smart city master plan at the Konza Technopolis. The MOU also covers development framework for the 5,000-acre smart city, as well as a feasibility study on the integrated control center.
In March 2022, the South Korean government committed a grant of 685.86 million shillings to finance construction of transport infrastructure, planning and security installations at the Konza city. This was to be implemented under the Economic Innovation Partnership Program, which is a collaboration between the Korea Trade Investment Promotion Agency and the Konza Technopolis Development Authority.
The Smart City Master Plan, the Integrated Control Center, and also the Smart Mobility. And these are some of the needs that are required not only at Konza Technopolis but across our emerging towns and cities in Kenya.
While receiving the final report for the Economic Innovation Partnership Program, Konza Technopolis Development Authority CEO, Engineer John Tanui, lauded the South Korean government's support in developing the Smart City Master Plan.
Contents of the MOU is to establish a core relationship between the two governments in the terms of ICT, making Konza Technopolis the Silicon Savannah, and the Korean government is trying to emphasize that it will support its best to make sure that this happens in real life.
The program will also support the feasibility study on the Integrated Control Center, focusing on security operations, establishment of a transportation network, and smart mobility plans that meet urban functions and characteristics such as smart parking, digital signage, and electric vehicle service.
Konza Technopolis platform will be able to drive the initiative to ensure our country can reap the benefits of technology and bring efficiency and a more effective way of living in our country.
Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
E-shopping has grown the convenience of buying goods for your household, with a growing number of Kenyans now not going to physical shops to buy specific goods. It has, however, been a major cause of worry and anxiety for many buyers, from logistical issues arising from delays or mix-up of orders. E-commerce platforms are now adopting integrated warehousing systems to reduce shipping costs by as much as 30%. Our reporter Hibak Said now reports about the world of virtual trade.
Few clicks on your gadget, you set off a chain of events at this very warehouse. And within a given time frame, a product you ordered is brought to your doorstep or preferred pickup point. Hosting more than 3 million Kenyan shoppers at a time, e-commerce platform Jumia Kenya showcases an array of pictures of a variety of products.
We give people what they see on our website.
And because of that, slowly people have begun to build trust.
According to Statista, revenue from e-trade are expected to grow at an average rate of 16.4% over the next 3 years. This trajectory has, however, not shielded buyers from technical hitches associated with blind buying.
Yes, there have been certain instances where the vendor is not able to fulfill what customer has ordered. And in that case, we take it very, very seriously with the vendor and try to understand the vendors who are not able to fulfill the orders. And then we have our own mechanism to debar the vendor from working with us.
I think it has improved. The trust has been a big, impediment for shopping online. However, I think more and more, the more the world shifts, people want more convenience. Right now, if you think about it, whenever you want something, you don't walk around town, Moyo Avenue or Luthuli looking for your item. The first thing I know you would do is Google.
With every order comes a product that requires processing, packaging and dispersal. And at the other end, an e-commerce platform that needs to handle this en masse.
So we have a first mile operations and middle mile operations and last mile operations. Right? So first mile operations means that I have certain facilities within Nairobi where a lot of my vendors come and drop off the items which are ordered by customers.
Based on a model that is anchored on trust, e-commerce platforms form an integral link between vendors and buyers, forcing them to concurrently run a number of operations to ensure seamless delivery. A break in this network severs the link to a customer whose experience is compromised, leaving an e-commerce platform at the center of a crossfire.
If it happens too frequently, that's one. And secondly, that is where the warehouse comes into picture. Whatever is in our warehouse, which is not dropped off by our vendors, cannot be out of stock because of the technology that we use. We are very sure that if a customer has ordered any warehouse item, it will be in stock. There is no case where it will not be in stock and where we will not be able to fulfill it.
E-commerce platforms such as Jumia Kenya are centralizing processes to avoid compromising the needs of the end customer, as well as guarantee faster and cheaper delivery.
Consolidating items means a lower price in terms of how we pay our partners, right? And that with that costs going down, it means the customer also will benefit from this because it will then lower their shipping fees as well. Because
the company hopes that with the new system, order mishaps would be reduced, transportation costs would be slashed, and the vendor portfolio would be increased.
For us, in order to help us keep giving that kind of service, needs more efficient operations, and that is why we wanted to get into this new warehouse.
From shopping physically to going to e-shopping, and now a physical beating heart for an e-commerce platform that promises to spread its wings all across Kenya. Hibak Saeed for Prime Edition.
Well, the future, of course, of shopping is e-commerce. Well, the National Treasury attributes the rise in pending bills in the country to poor revenue collection by counties. National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani says most county governments miss their revenue collection target, forcing them to solely rely on disbursement from the National Treasury to finance the operations, a situation that has seen the stock of pending bills increase.
According to the Controller of Budget, counties had accumulated pending bills worth 107 billion shillings as at June this year. This is despite all 47 county governments preparing a payment plan at the beginning of the last financial year. National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani says the accumulation of pending bills by county government is due to missed revenue targets by the devolved units. This is because most of them solely rely on disbursement from the national government, a situation that Yatani says it is not sustainable.
If you look at the county councils and the municipal councils of those times, they collect more revenue than the current one. And yet those are not tailor-made. I mean, they are small organizations, ill-equipped, less experienced, without necessary capacity to manage that.
That pending bills reach 4, 5, 6 billion. There is actually a serious problem. And if you trace that problem very well, it is as a result of overstating their own source revenue. But why do counties overstate own source revenue? Because of the ratios we are supposed to comply with.
He urged senators to draft laws that will enhance revenue collection by the devolved units, as well as monitor the payment of pending bills.
If they do not do it, and they have such a big budget, you end up spending money that you do not have. And in the process, accumulate lots of pending bills, which now impacts on the general state of the economy at the county level.
Speakers at the induction session for senators in Naivasha urged county governments to prioritize settlement of pending bills to enhance cash circulation.
When people draw money, and instead of spending on the budget for which it has been drawn, they divert it to something else, then the consequences will be a pending bill, particularly rampant in the county governments.
Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
East African-based business advisory and investment firm in Komoko has announced plans to work with 1 million medium and small micro-enterprise MCMEs in Kenya by the year 2030. The firm budgets to invest 48 billion shillings in supporting small business.
Komoko, that has been in operations over the last 10 years, has served more than 41,000 entrepreneurs in Kenya, Rwanda and Ethiopia. In Kenya, the firm has operations in 5 areas, namely Mombasa, Garissa, the Kakuma Refugee Camp, Kalobeye Integrated Settlement and the Dadaab Refugee Complex, supporting about 7,000 entrepreneurs.
There are a lot of different dynamics which create thriving businesses. Access to finance is one of those things. Creative entrepreneurs that have a lot of skills and support is another thing. And also the enabling environment that the government can create really does open up new opportunities.
She says by engaging in towns and refugee camps, Komoko plans to deploy more investments, digital services and market linkages to connect entrepreneurs in its area of operation. She says the firm's decision to rebrand was informed by the need to unify the organization across different markets since it had been operating under different brand names in the 3 countries.
We had one name in Rwanda, a different name in Kenya, another name in Ethiopia. But really, entrepreneurs throughout East Africa see themselves as working in a large market. And so the entrepreneurs that are in Mombasa actually want to be able to export to Rwanda and Ethiopia. The entrepreneurs that are in Ethiopia want to have access to Mombasa and other parts of Kenya.
She says the firm's tailored support targets to back micro, small and medium enterprises to create jobs, improve livelihoods and create thriving communities.
It's really hard to be a small business owner. Running a business has so many challenges, whether it is knowing how to manage all your finances, finding the right staff, making sure the product is exactly what your customers want, providing good customer service. All of these things are day-to-day challenges.
Komoko has so far supported 110,000 small businesses that have impacted about 7.6 million people in Kenya, Rwanda and Ethiopia.
Well, let's now talk about tourism. The Mida Creek in Watamu is an ideal for explorers, conservationists, adventurers and relaxation as you engage in paddle boarding, swimming and birding. Tonight on Magical Scenes, Irene Muchuma highlights tourist attractions in Watamu. This is in Kilifi County.
Watamu in Kilifi County is the place to go to for a would-be visitor whose preference could be a tropical holiday anytime a chance pops up. This is the Mida Creek in Watamu. The communities here have a signature welcoming dance for visitors. They say this is a way to appreciate one's decision to travel to this place to spend time at the Mida Creek. The Mida Creek is a tidal inlet covering an area of 32 square kilometers in this serene village. This group of women take care of the mangroves at the creek to protect the area from environmental degradation.
Kuna mbegu kubwa, iko na aina nyingi hii mikoko, lakini ambayo inapatikana hapa ni kama aina 7, nyingine hazipatikani hapa. Sasa kwa zile ambazo tunachukua kule tukija tukiweka hii nasara. Ule wakati wa nyuma ikiwa corona bado haijaja, zilikuwa zinapata wateja, tukiweka hapa zinaenda tayari.
Hawa mama wenyewe ni wakarimu, wanakaribisha watu vizuri na mandhari ya hapa inapendeza, sababu mtu pengine amekuja hapa ametoka hapo ile view, sababu kwengine hakuna hiyo view. Sasa ile view tayari kuna ndege, manake kuna aina nyingi sana ya ndege hapa Mida Creek. Sasa hiyo pia ni moja hapo watu wanavutwa nayo. Alafu chakula chenye kinapikwa hapa ni chakula cha asili. Sasa chakula cha asili kiko na ladha nzuri, ndio watu wana venye kinapikwa, sababu hata kuna mwingine alikuja hapa anasema alipikiwa wali samaki hivi, anasema mimi hata mtafanya niachane na bwanangu sababu ya chakula chenye mnapika hapa. Mwingine akakuja anasema sikuli samaki, lakini vile tulimtengenezea hiyo siku alikula samaki.
About 400 species of birds can be spotted at the Mida Creek. The birds make one of the most beautiful attractions at the Kenyan coast. The Mida Creek is a stopover for most migratory birds. Flamingos are often seen feeding at the Mida. The creek is also an incredible swimming, kayaking, and paddleboard destination. Irene Mchuma Udim, Magical Sense in the county of Kilifi.
Women from Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania have been picked to benefit from a mentorship program by Standard Chartered Bank and iLab Africa's Strathmore University aimed at upscaling their cybersecurity skills. The move is aimed at bridging the skills gap between men and women in cyberspace amid a shortage of 3.5 million cybersecurity professionals globally.
The cybersecurity workforce is expected to grow by 65% this year to effectively defend institutions' critical assets.
And the reason many women are not in the cybersecurity field is many think it's a very tech thing. It needs to be demystified better, and they think I can't cope.
This underscores the need for more capacity building in the cyberspace. However, data indicates that there is a shortage of 3.5 million cybersecurity professionals globally, of which just 10,000 certified cybersecurity professionals are from Africa. More specifically, women in the field of cybersecurity account for only 24% of the overall workforce, with Africa, the Middle East, having the lowest representation at 10%.
An opportunity like the one which has been brought today is to teach them that there is so much space in the cybersecurity field. It's not all about ethical hacking. It's not all about understanding how malware is here and there. There's need for women in the legal profession. There's need for CISOs. So women are fewer because many have not really understood what's happening in the cybersecurity field, and the word itself and the fact that they only see male role models intimidates.
The launch of the Cyber Mentorship Program is geared towards correcting this. The mentorship program targets women in any field with junior level experience of 2 to 3 years seeking an entry into careers in cybersecurity. The selected women will undergo a 4-month training administered virtually.
Even as ICT continues to drive the fourth industrial revolution, one fact is glaring that women are missing when it comes to matters of cybersecurity, and stakeholders have set time has come to have women take part in matters of cybersecurity, for it is not only the present but also the future. I'm Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1.
Kenya Breweries Limited is warning of a rise in the consumption of illegal brews due to the rising alcohol taxation in the country. The giant brewer further says the implementation of the inflation adjustment taxes by the Kenya Revenue Authority will result in reduced government revenues, losses to farmers, distributors, and loss of jobs. The brewer says barley and sorghum-based beer sales have declined by 21% and 32% respectively for the period of July and August this year.
In July 2022, Parliament passed Finance Act 2022, which increased the excise rates for beer and spirits by 10% and 20% respectively. The Kenya Breweries Limited says as a result, barley and sorghum-based beer sales have declined by 21% and 32% respectively for the period of July and August 2022, levels that were last observed in the same period last year when the alcohol industry was under COVID-19 restrictions. The high prices of alcohol have encouraged the growth of illicit brews and the proliferation of cheap raw spirits from neighboring countries. The brewer notes that the excise tax increase effected in July 2022 has had the same impact, with performance mirroring the same period last year when COVID-19 restrictions were in effect. KBL is urging KRA to halt increasing the current excise tax rates for the financial year 2022-2023. KBL says another increase in taxes will lead to a loss of 588 million shillings in income to farmers, and over 15,000 farmers will be affected by reduced uptake of sorghum and barley grain for production. In addition, finished goods distribution and retail trade will lose 4.2 billion shillings in a reduction in raw material use, 15.7 billion shillings in employment income loss, and 35,364 people will lose their jobs. Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
Wanapiga wimbo yangu. Hiyo wimbo ni yangu.
Wewe na usitupotezee wakati hapa. Nakataa. Mnakaa ni wewe.
Sikuwa rada. Ona sikia sasa ndo niko rada.
Nakuuliza. Mtu akitupa akili yake atoe kwa jichwa atupe, anapaki na nini?
Yule alikuwa ameniweka kimongre mchini. Unacheki?
Mimi sielewi. Situletee kufiatu kisi zako hapa.
Sikuwa na ramba dada mtu wangu. Si hata ulikuwa unacheki ndara. Sikuwa na ramba dada.
Mozimbiting.
Simbiti kuzombo toto.
Ozibitingala, simbitingi, ebesingla, esamade ni wewe.
Nando nakwambiaje, ukirieu, machuda, makete na makwete.
Sasa wewe ngoja. Umeuliza nini?
Wewe, sitaki mchezo, unasikia?
Well, good evening. As always, it is an honor to have your company for KBC Sports with me, Richard Munga. Now, the 25th edition of the Safari Sevens Rugby Tournament is scheduled to be held between the 14th and 16th of next month at the RFUA grounds. The annual event, which will make a comeback to the RFUA grounds after a 2-year hiatus, has attracted a total of 18 teams.
The 2022 Safari Sevens Rugby Tournament is scheduled to be held at the RFUEA grounds from the 14th to 16th of next month. Kenya will be represented by Shujaa and Lionesses in the event that has attracted 18 teams from across the globe.
Running from 1996, Safari Sevens has built a very great legacy. It's a very attractive product and creates an opportunity for players to really test themselves. And for the fans, it's both an opportunity to witness international class rugby, but also to enjoy the entertainment, to build the camaraderie, and just continue to celebrate life and what rugby has been for these countries.
A total of 12 men and 6 women teams, as well as the age grade and veterans, will take part in the 3-day event. According to Kenya Rugby Union Vice Chair Moses Ndale, the event will return to the RFUEA grounds for the first time since 2019.
We felt that it's good that we take rugby back to where we believe it belongs, because we believe it will be a good tournament for everybody who will come to watch the game. We want to wish and request all the fans to come in large numbers to come and watch Shujaa, because believe me, among the 12 teams, Shujaa will be there, our homeboys, and also Morans. So for the men team, we believe the 10 slots, we are still working on it, and we'll be availing them now and then.
With a tight schedule ahead of the 2022-2023 HSBC series, Shujaa will be resuming training at the end of this month in preparation for the tournament, and also the HSBC World Series set to start on the 4th of November. For Channel 1 Sports, this is Eddie Makina.
Meanwhile, Africa 100 meters record holder Ferdinand Omanyala was named LG SJAC Sports Personality of the Month for the month of August. Omanyala achieved the feat after winning gold in 100 meters during the Birmingham Commonwealth Games and walked away with a washing machine. Omanyala beat rugby star Billy Odhiambo, 800 meters runner Mary Moraa, who won Kenya's 4th gold medal at the 2022 Commonwealth Games, as well as Helen Wawera, who claimed bronze in the powerlifting competition in Birmingham, while 1500 meters champion Faith Kipyegon was also on the list of nominees. Other nominees included netball player Beatrice Buchel, 3000 meters steeplechase Commonwealth champion Jacqueline Chepkoech, Faisal Aiden of Equity basketball team, and World Athletics under 20 3000 meters steeplechase champion Faith Cherotich. Omanyala has won the LG East Africa Sponsored Award twice, having bagged the first one in September 2021.
Because we have to make everything perfect. We have to make the start to be perfect, the last 50 to be perfect. For you to win a world title, you have to be perfect in all sense. So I'm not going to focus on any specific details, just to make sure that every run, like all the phases of the run.
Through sports, we all acknowledge that Kenya continues to make history globally and cement our place on the walls of remembrance in time. It is thus our duty to contribute to this generational link in whichever way we are able to.
He has done well, and this is not his first award with us. I think he won during last year, and I think it's a good thing to see him again.
Well, congratulations to Ferdinand Omanyala as well as the other nominees. To other matters now, Konza Girls Secondary School is this year's East Africa Volleyball Champions. The win ensured Kenya retained the title it won at the 2019 edition, also held in Arusha, Tanzania. The team beat compatriots and rivals Kesagon Mixed Secondary School in 3 straight sets of 25-23, 25-22 and 25-17 to win their 4th successive title and 6th in total. In boys volleyball, Kenyan champions Cheptil Boys High School qualified for the final after their opponents Esa Nyarugunga of Rwanda were disqualified for fielding unregistered players and 2 more players than the required 12. Cheptil will face holders Standard High School of Uganda in Friday's final. Kenya will also have a team in Friday's boys basketball final after newbies Dr. Aggrey High School saw of Uganda's Bethel Covenant 81-66 in the semis. Debutants Highway Secondary School of Kenya on Thursday qualified for the boys football final after knocking out holders St. Mary's Kitende School of Uganda. Well, that's all the time we had for Sports Night, but just a reminder, or rather a rejoinder after yesterday's UEFA Nations League competition. We had Scotland beating Ukraine 3-0 in a match that was played at the Hampden Park. Of course, the UEFA Nations League continues this weekend, as well as other internationals in preparations, of course, for the World Cup, which is set to kick off on the 20th of November till the 18th of December. And as always, KBC Channel 1 is your true sports partner, so be sure to catch the matches live on KBC Channel 1. That's all the time we had tonight, but don't go too far. Cynthia, Nyamai and Kimani are on the other side of the studio.
Thank you so much. That's the sports news for you today from me and the rest of the team. We do want to wish you a very good night.
Well, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Remember always to catch up with more stories. Just log on to our website, www.kbc.co.ke/business. Well, my name is O'Brien Kimani. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good night.
If you are a holder of any unclaimed financial assets, surrender all unclaimed financial assets in your possession to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, today without having to pay interest or penalties. Take advantage of the Finance Act 2022 moratorium on penalties and interests. For more information, visit www.ufaa.go.ke/holders. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
Today, I want to show them my attitude. Yabana, ni chuo kikuu cha burudani, mashavu.
Sifika bei umechapa, kitambe imejaa utahata. Nyumbani kaumbea.
Burudani.
Twende tukacheze bango. Mama it takes two to tango.
Na interview kali kutoka Pwani.
Nakucheza nawe. Baby nimecheza nawe. Na ukitaka tuiwashe